The shot cracked through the cold morning air like thunder, freezing the crowd mid-breath. A single bullet had struck dead center where even the Academy's best had failed. All eyes turned to Caroline Carey Jensen, standing alone in her weathered jeans and military jacket, her hand still trembling yet unshaken. Laughter and mockery vanished into stunned silence. The legend of Titanium Tactical Academy Colonel Everett Kane stared pale-faced at the woman he had labeled a hopeless amateur. But the impossible had just happened. The weakest had become the strongest. What followed was not just a competition, it was the reckoning of truth itself. Caroline Carey Jensen stepped through the sleek glass doors of Titanium Tactical Academy, her heartbeat pounding like a distant drumline in her chest. Once she had walked into far more dangerous places. Now it was fear for her daughter, not herself, that drove her here. A recent break-in at their quiet home had shattered any illusion of safety. The Academy buzzed with wealthy men in designer tactical gear, exchanging smug glances at the woman in worn jeans and an old military jacket. Carrie barely registered their judgment. Her fingers brushed the wedding ring on a chain around her neck. She had a purpose. The Academy's commanding presence arrived with the precision of a man used to obedience. Colonel Everett Kane, every inch the decorated war hero, strode into the training bay. His tailored tactical jacket bore the airborne insignia with pride, his steel gray hair cropped to perfection. Carrie felt his cold gaze sweep over her, lingering just long enough to dismiss her as unworthy. Around him clustered the elite corporate executives, private contractors, and tech billionaires in pristine gear. Their mocking stares followed Carrie to the beginner's lane. Kane's reputation loomed like a towering wall. Carrie simply squared her shoulders and walked straight through it. The cold metal of the Academy's borrowed firearm rested in Carrie's hand, stirring memories long buried under layers of survival and silence. Years ago, she had been Viper, a ghost-like force within the Marine Corps, a sniper whose kill record was whispered about but never officially acknowledged. Hidden under classified files and denied recognition, Carrie had served in the shadows. Only one man had known the full truth: David, her late husband, who had fallen under the command of Colonel Kane during Operation Red Dagger in Syria. Carrie had watched from her scope on that brutal day as Kane made the unforgivable choice to abandon David under fire. The official inquiry had exonerated him, but Carrie had seen everything. Now, as she stood on this range, her purpose was clear. She had not come for glory or redemption. She had come to bring the truth into the light. As the session ended, Carrie lingered at her station, methodically disassembling and cleaning the firearm with practiced ease. From across the room, a quiet figure emerged from the maintenance bay. Noah Chambers moved with the deliberate care of someone whose body still carried the weight of old battlefield wounds. His faded plaid shirt and worn jeans contrasted sharply with the Academy's polished facade. Their eyes met briefly. Noah's gaze held no judgment, only the flicker of recognition that came from a shared past. Carrie returned to her task, outwardly indifferent, yet instinctively aware that an unexpected ally had just stepped from the shadows. The announcement of the Kane Invitational rippled through Titanium Tactical like wildfire. It was the ultimate showcase where the Academy's elite battled for prestige and access to Kane's exclusive network. Carrie's name appeared at the bottom of the roster, an intentional slight designed to humiliate. She knew the tactic well: bait the outsider, mock the failure, reinforce the hierarchy. The wealthy contenders laughed openly at her inclusion, certain it was a cruel joke. Carrie maintained her facade of awkward inexperience, masking the calculated precision behind her every move. The stage was set. She would play the role until the truth demanded otherwise. The morning air crackled with anticipation as the Titanium Tactical grounds transformed into an arena. Luxury SUVs lined the parking lot, and polished boots crunched across the manicured gravel walkways. Spectators filled the bleachers, eyes fixed on the competitors, adjusting scopes and inspecting weapons. Carrie stood apart, quiet and unnoticed in the beginner section, deliberately maintaining her image of nervous uncertainty. The first rounds tested basic marksmanship. Carrie performed just well enough to survive each elimination without attracting too much attention. Meanwhile, Liam Prescott strutted between stations, his custom rifles gleaming under the floodlights. His smirk deepened with every perfect shot. As the field narrowed, Kane announced the wildcard challenge, an unfamiliar weapon under time pressure. When Carrie stepped to the line, her fingers instinctively recognized the sniper rifle placed before her, a near replica of the one she had carried in combat. Her heart stopped as she noticed the misaligned scope. The sabotage was blatant. With measured calm, Carrie removed the optic completely, drawing gasps from the crowd. She steadied her breathing, leveled the iron sights, and let muscle memory guide her. The shots rang out tight groupings that defied probability. The scoreboard flashed new record. The stunned silence shattered as Colonel Adrian Morales slowly rose from the VIP section, recognition hardening his features. Only one operator had ever used such impossible technique under fire. The name Viper spread in whispered disbelief. Kane's face drained of color as the past collided with the present. Desperate to reclaim control, Kane demanded a final test, a single shot at the range's most extreme distance. As the crowd held its collective breath, Carrie stepped to the line. The years of lost betrayal and discipline fused into perfect focus. With calm certainty, she aligned her stance and prepared to end the lie forever. The bullet split the center of the distant target with surgical precision. Gasps rippled through the crowd, followed by stunned silence. The electronic scoreboard confirmed what every eye had seen, a perfect shot unmatched in the Academy's history. Slowly, applause began, tentative at first, then swelling into a thunderous ovation. Kane stood frozen, his carefully constructed persona crumbling. The weight of years spent cloaked in deceit pressed down visibly on his shoulders. Colonel Morales confronted him with cold authority, demanding accountability for what had happened in Syria. Kane, his voice stripped of arrogance, confessed. The damning truth of his betrayal spilled out in halting words. Carrie listened, unflinching. When he finished, she stepped forward, extending her hand not in forgiveness, but as a recognition of hard truth spoken at last. Kane accepted it briefly, then turned and walked away, hollowed and defeated. Months later, the Academy reopened under a new name, Viper Tactical Training Center. Noah Chambers stood confidently beside Carrie now, Chief Training Officer. Veterans and civilians trained side by side under a banner of integrity, accountability, and inclusion. A scholarship program honored David Jensen's memory. The legacy of betrayal had transformed into a living testament of second chances and unwavering strength. Sunlight streamed across the polished floors of Viper Tactical as Carrie stood at the front of the graduating class. Veterans, first responders, and civilians listened intently as she spoke of honor, perseverance, and the courage to stand for truth when it was hardest. Her fingers brushed the ring hanging from the chain around her neck, a silent tribute to David's memory. In the crowd, Madison beamed with pride, her young eyes already carrying the fire of purpose. Around them, faces reflected understanding. The most powerful shot wasn't fired from a rifle, but from the decision to rise when others doubted.